graduating seminary in May of 1992. I was married 2 days after graduation. There's a period of time before one is ordained a deacon. Our diocese, Central Florida, I went from Orlando, required more examinations in a retreat. And so all the ordinands, the people about to be ordained, would come together from all the different seminaries which we had attended, and all from Central Florida, and we went on this retreat. I can't even tell you the leader's name, but I can tell you exactly what he said. He drew out a number line. Anybody remember a number line? Do they still teach a number line?
Yes.
Yeah. So, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, I think it's this way, facing you. -1, -2, -3, on this way. And he put a huge space in the middle of the number line. And he said, "What is that?" We said, "A 0. He said, "No, that's you." Come again? He said, "You are the 0. And we said politely back, "Blow off." We've spent 5 to 7 years of our lives getting ready. We've gone through 31 evaluations, psychiatric, psychological, and physical, all the way through the process. I worked at Duke University Medical Center. Not everybody gets to do that. And I busted my hump for 3 years to get this master's degree, and I am not a 0. And he said, "Yes, you are." He said the 0 on the number line holds the place that gives every other segment value. He said without the 0, none of the other spots, none of the other numerals have any value, and they don't know how to relate to each other. So he put a 0 and he said, "You are 0s, and it's not about you. Your job is to hold the place for everybody else." This was totally antithetical to everything we had been taught in the past 3 or 4 years, because we had been taught that if you have the question, we've got the answer. Some of us thought we were the answer. And we were about to shoot like a guided missile out of a frigate or a tender, and we were going to hurl ourselves upon the church and fix it. In my 26th year of ordained ministry, in our 45th year as a congregation, I stand before you to tell you how right, how accurate, how wise this man was. To be a 0 for Jesus, to hold the place that helps everybody else find their place. To be the person that does not point. We debated for 2 hours in this retreat if 0 has a value. If anybody has any wisdom on that, I'd love to know it. Does it have a value? Answer, only in relation to all the other numbers. Boy, was he right. Welcome, friends. Welcome to our celebration lunch, annual parish meeting. It is our 45th year as the Episcopal outpost in the Rocky Mountains, and our theme is journey. And this church has been on a journey all these years. It has been consequential, it has been dramatic, and it has been emotional. We have not stayed put very well. I am pleased to report to you that as we enter into this time, the state of your parish is very strong today. We have worked hard to give you and to be accountable to you. In the 2019 parish booklet, we had lots of discussion about this as we put the budget together, and we decided to do something that we haven't done in 23 years, and that is not print one. Do you see younger people walking around with printed materials a lot of the time? They're looking at phones and laptops and tablets. And so we dropped a very detailed and sophisticated parish booklet for you. In it is everything you need to know for us to be accountable to you for your gifts of time and talent and treasure. You are the stakeholders. We are the zeros. We're the placeholders. It's not about us. It is all about you. I'm very pleased to report that despite all predictions and projections and studies about length of tenure, 2018 represents the highest statistical year by metric in all the three categories that the Episcopal Church tracks. Isn't that amazing? We had our highest year financially in terms of contribution. We had our highest average Sunday attendance, including Christmas. And we had our highest membership in our 45th year. Transfiguration is on a journey. And it's a very important journey. Can you imagine this congregation serving over 15,000 souls in a calendar year? We just did that. Can you imagine that our church had 428 separate events of every variety in a calendar year? That's just a lot going on. Or if you're from Virginia or the Tidewater, a lot going on. That's a lot going on. Can you imagine that in 45 years we've been able to build a reserve, a financial cushion to give us the confidence to meet just about any situation that may present itself over time. A staff, one of the finest staffs I have ever had the privilege, Florida, North Carolina, Virginia, and Colorado. One of the finest staffs with which I've ever had the privilege to work beside. It is an amazing group of people. Can you imagine a congregation who can birth new leadership in the same year that we suffered the death of one of the finest ordained ministers I have ever met? And yet we do not remain still, and He wouldn't let us. God calls us forward with new leadership. We are blessed indeed. You're going to see a lot of transitions about to happen right here. You're going to see us transition from Mike Williams, a veteran senior warden, to a new senior warden in Jamie Wren. Jamie will be, by my count, the 14th senior warden of this church, the lay leader who partners with the clergy. She will be different from Mike. She's supposed to, because Mike was different from Doug. And on we go. You're going to see 5 extraordinarily talented people leave our vestry, and 5 extraordinarily talented people join our vestry. You enjoy some of the most capable leadership, not only in the Episcopal Church, but present in the Vail Valley today in any nonprofit community. You all really are ridiculously privileged with the leadership that you have. By any measure, by any metric, Transfiguration is on a joy journey. It's an amazing adventure. But I came not to look at the past, but to look at the future. Because, friends, my discernment for 2019 is we're going to need to be strong. We're going to need all the vitality, all the wisdom. We're going to need to be the church that God's calling us to be. And here's why. As I reflected on that retreat years ago, I realized the one thing that the gentleman didn't tell us, because I wouldn't have had the maturity to hear him or the experience. Placeholding is not just about clergy. churches are placeholders also. There is one church in this valley that is holding a very significant anchoring position that allows everybody around it to be who they are and function. For extra bonus points, could you tell me the one church that is being called to be the zero on the number line to give all the other elements that's value in relationship? Please, would you let me know which church is that? Yeah, if anybody says Baptist, I'm just going to go close to it. We all have our call, right? We all have a, love you, Ethan. Love, all have our call. This church, you and I, are being called to be the placeholder in this community in a time of great tumult and great transition all around us. Let's see. Who's our Eagle County School Board Superintendent today? Raise your hand. Oh. We don't have one. Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, we did have, no, we don't have that now. How many Eagle County commissioners do we have on the Board of Commissioners right now? We're supposed to have 3, but we have 2. But we have the long-tenured CEO at the Vail Health. Oh, wait, she's retired. No, we have a new person at Vail Health. Well, at least we have the person last year at Bravo. Oh, wait, no. No, she left in the middle of the night. Let's see, okay. Well, at least the Vail, the Youth Foundation, Youth Power 365, I mean, nothing can happen to that stuff. Oh, wait, no. They've totally changed over. Okay. Have you noticed the turbulent transitions all around us in our own valley? Don't get me started with our national picture. Don't get me started on our international. We don't have the time and you don't need to know. You already do. We can just look locally. Can anybody tell me a nonprofit that is not in profound transition right now other than Habitat for Humanity? Even Dan Smith, I think, finally stepped down from chairing everything he touches. There is new and different leadership trying out. And friends, let's think about our schools. Let's think about our Christian schools, St. Clair's, Vail Christian Academy, Vail Christian High School. There's a lot of turbulence in the water around us right now. Very shortly, they're going to begin building right out here units that will be closer than you think, with a road that's going to be running down our eastern flank of this property. Do anybody see the sign for at the Edwards Village Boulevard and Highway 6? Construction to begin in February. Is everybody really quite sure what they're doing in February? Other than giving us an invitation to be patient and charitable. We are in a profound state of transition as a community and in the Christian community. Guess who gets to be the placeholder? Guess who gets to be reliable, constructive, robust, dependable, sensitive, patient, listening, and partnering? You're up. We're up. We're all up. And it's really critically important. May I tell you that it was painful beyond measure to share with you some of the more recent disagreements in the interfaith community that most of us take for granted because it's been so warm for so many years. We are in a more fragile and sensitive time in our own interfaith community. It is very painful. I am so aware that how you act and how I act and how we act towards our own interfaith brothers and sisters makes a difference now about their future in the interfaith chapels. Does everybody understand what that means? We can have a part to play with our Jewish brothers and sisters, with our Roman Catholic brothers and sisters who are going through extraordinary pressure inside and outside of this valley. We have a part to play to hold that anchoring placeholder position. And I'm asking you to join us in playing that part. Can we look at the Episcopal Church in Colorado for just a second? We mostly have a bishop. Do you know how people retire kind of day by day? Rob's going through that journey, and I've been privileged to share some of it with him, Bishop O'Neill. He will be retiring shortly after the arrival of Kim Lucas, which has been pushed back now into April. Kim will be consecrated May 18th. Rob will stay shortly with her, and then he will depart after 15 years of being our Episcopal placeholder. None of this would have been possible without Bishop O'Neill's approval and partnership and leadership, and he's leaving the room. Did I mention our placeholders, position in the Episcopal Church in the state? We are the 4th largest congregation, if you put all the metrics together, maybe 3rd, depending on what you look at. You all are vital and significant, and you matter. And how we reach out with our brothers and sisters matter, especially in this next year. Let me tell you where I am going in terms of interest and passion in 2019, and where I think we're being called to do. We're being called to continue to be the anchors in the interfaith chapels, Vail and Beaver Creek and Edwards. We're being called to be agents of reconciliation and strength and patience, to be reliable and dependable when other people are losing their heads. That's us. We're not going to make dramatic changes to the program for this year. We're going to do the things that we've all come to love and we value together. We're going to go on a pilgrimage to the Holy Land. Emily and I have been in some conversation about the people that can't join us on the pilgrimage to the Holy Land, and we are discussing, and it's evolving, an idea of some Colorado field trips. Might you be interested in coming down to Denver and touring our great cathedral and some other places of worship in Denver that are very significant to the church, the Christian church in Colorado? Would that be of interest to you? Would anybody like to come down to San Luis, Colorado and walk the Stations of the Cross around a very dramatic outdoor panoramic hill there in sculpture, to get to the top and see Jesus hanging on the cross to the open sky of the San Luis Mountains? Maybe we could go down to Christ in the Desert Monastery. It's not that far. And have us a little prayer time with the monks. 60 of them now? At the Monastery of Christ in the Desert, one of my favorite places on the planet. How about going over to Snowmass Monastery? It's about an hour from here. Anybody be interested in doing that if you don't go on the Holy Land? Maybe we'll go out and do some field trips. That might be fun. I want to say that when you read this report, when we go through the annual meeting, you're going to see an interesting motion that we haven't done in about a decade. Through the leadership of your financial team, Shauna, Terry, and others, your vestry voluntarily dropped the expense budget from 2019 to 2018 proactively. We absorbed a 7.5% increase in health insurance. None of your staff received bonuses. we cut our expense budget to be reflective and sensitive to what we were hearing. What we were hearing is that our church has gotten so large and there's so many wealthy people that obviously my pledge doesn't matter anymore. I can't make a difference. I'm on YouTube and you can watch me again and again with my reply. My reply is, that is not true. We cut our expenses to say to you in the strongest way possible, everybody in this church matters. Everybody comes together. Every gift of time and talent and treasure. And some people have more time than treasure. What's our answer? What was that? How great? John, how great? It's really great. Will we take a gift of time and not treasure? Anybody?
Yes.
Okay, join me on YouTube. Yes. Yes. How about treasure and you don't have enough time? Yes. Okay, sure. Yeah, we're good. You're going to hear how well we ended the year and how generously, under JP's leadership, the pledges from this year are going. But I want you to know in the strongest possible terms, don't ever let anybody say around you that a gift to this church does not matter, of any size or variety. We all go together. We value every gift, and it's critically important. Finally, I'm going to ask you to embrace, not physically, I realized if I say this, someone's going to do it physically. I'm going to ask you to embrace two people and let one go. I'd like you to embrace Jamie Wren as our new senior warden. If you don't get to know her, I'd like you to get to know her. She is an exceptional leader and has been a good friend to your clergy, and that's one of the main jobs of the senior warden. She runs a business in this valley. She's a mother of 2 daughters, close to my heart. She's going to be a spectacular senior warden. I'd like you to embrace her the way that you've embraced and supported Mike. Jamie, would you wave so people see it? I would like you to embrace our Associate Rector, Emily Lukanich. Do you know the number of rumors that we got when Emily and I split? The leadership between Edwards and Vail, honest to God. The one I like best, and I've repeated it because I hope I don't bore anybody's ox here, is because we've changed where we're leading worship, people called Mike and asked if we were married. And the answer is yes, but not to each other. That was a schedule change for 3 weeks. I mean, is there any anxiety in the water or what? Placeholding means keeping our wits about us when we do something like make a schedule change. I still have a few people call me up and say, and who's preaching on next week? It's like going to the Splendidos at the Chateau. It's, who's our sous chef tonight? Yeah, no. No. This is Emily's 3rd year. She's starting, I think, the longest now. Is that right? Place. How long have you been to any other place in tenure? She's starting now the longest tenure as a priest she's ever inhabited this year. An associate rector means she's a rector. Lewis and Clark.
Sometimes moral harmony.
We're not going there. That does not make you two. Friends, it is very important, if we want to keep a priest, to call upon a priest at all times, in all places, under all circumstances. I'm asking you to continue to open your hearts and embrace Emily, not like you embrace me, better than that. so we can watch her continue to activate and deploy a priesthood that is terribly exciting. Finally, I'm asking to let someone go. It won't be long, but we have to let Mike Williams go. And I need your help to do that, and so does Mike. For the next year, Mike Williams is going to be, as he's done every morning, studying, reading, writing, and geeking out to be prepared to be ordained as a deacon in the Episcopal Church. Mike will serve a field. Do you may remember Steve's field assignment in Breckenridge? Mike will leave us to go to another church for a field assignment, to be on the altar of a different congregation. This is a profound transition. It's our third time doing it. So we need to let Mike do that. I might need some help, and Mike may need some help with this. So if you see Mike in a public venue saying, yes, our church could do that, feel free to tap him on the shoulder and ask him what question in which module he's answering right now. Mike's used to being a leader, and we need to let him step off our line so that when he comes back to us, he comes back as a fully formed deacon. Does everybody understand? Really important. Let me end, then, just a few thoughts about the year. Let me end with my last story. In 1982, I attended Canoga Conference Center in North Carolina, summer conference. This is a huge Episcopal campus conference center in western North Carolina. I was asked to choose a Bible verse that reflected how I felt about God or what I wanted from the Lord. Do you know I chose the last sentence of the Old Testament reading that you heard a few minutes ago? In 1982, I chose this as one of my life Bible verses. It's from the book of Nehemiah, which everybody knows so well. Ezra and Nehemiah say, go your way and eat the fat, drink sweet wine. That happened at Canoga. Send portions of them to those for whom nothing is prepared, for this day is holy to our Lord, and do not grieve, for the joy of the Lord is your strength. Nehemiah 8:10. The joy of the Lord is your strength. Friends, the joy of the Lord, this joy journey that we've been on for 45 years, that is our strength. That's what gives me the ability. Many people ask me, how do you do what you do? I don't. God does. And I do it with joy. Because I love being your placeholder. Emily and I love holding the place so that it's all about you. I'm inviting you to hold the place so it can be about everybody else in our community. Please let it be about joy. In 2019, joy. Deep-seated joy. And on that note, I'd like to end. We have a clean sweep this year. Not one gift we had planned to physically give ever made it to this building. And so we're going to give and acknowledge people even though we don't have a darn thing to give them. They'll give it. The first one's really predictable. The second one isn't at all. I'd like to end with a joy moment of giving two people Rector's Crosses. Rector's Crosses is the only way I know to say thank you to people who have done extraordinary things for our church over a long period of time. Does everybody know who the first recipient is today of our Rector's Cross? Is this going to be really so hard? Before he gets the collar, let's give him the Rector's Cross. I would like to introduce you to one of the finest leaders I have ever had the privilege to work beside. This man is single-handedly and with a team responsible for renovating your rectory, feeding you, fire, flood, Church gatherings, he's always right back there. God's making him a deacon before our eyes. And I won't be able to do this after he gets into the process, so let's do it now. Would you please stand and acknowledge Mike Williams, please? And if you just want to remain standing so we don't give Mike too hard a time here, do stop him and ask him what he's studying. Do ask him about the journey in Sirius. One of his modules, one of his experiences is to be able to relate to you what's happening in his journey. Everybody with me? It's such an honor to stand next to someone, a leader like Mike. Let's add a servant leader also here. And oh boy, is this person really not going to talk to me ever again. How many years have we worshipped at the Edwards Interfaith Chapel? Does anybody know? Anybody remember? The fall of 2010, we moved from St. Clair's Auditorium into this space. Shortly after we moved, Lynn Savalas, who knitted this beautiful, what's that called? Tapestry. Yeah, tapestry, banner. Wow. Lynn left, and one person stepped forward and said, "I'll do it. I'll help with the altar." She has not allowed me. She got angry when I sent her flowers. So she's going to be really upset when I introduce you to one of our great servants of the Lord, who is responsible for keeping this altar for your use. Talk about a placeholder. I can't think of a better one. Would you please greet Nisha Gergen? And friends, this is part of our joy journey, isn't it? And this is what our church is all about. So I'm going to ask you to pass the peace of the Lord and make sure you hit these two guys somewhere in that process, would you? The peace of the Lord be always with you.